Hey guys, welcome back. I'm going to finish up my garden tour today. Today is August 10th and the kids just went back to school, so it's nice and quiet on my lunch breaks. So I'm going to walk around my front yard, and then I forgot to do my backyard, my back porch. So I'm going to record that as well. So I wanted to start here in the shade so I'm not dying in the middle of the day. But this area here is where I first planted my goldenrod plants. So this is native pine barren goldenrod. So all of these taller plants here. And the last 2 seasons in the fall when they bloom from the fall all the way to some of them into the end of the year. So, and they are frost hardy, so they don't even die back in the frost. I get them blooming pretty much the rest of the season. But they get 7-8 foot tall, some of them. And so being here by the sidewalk, of course, I don't want those flopping over with people walking around. So I decided this year, I had someone on a Facebook group tell me just cut them back mid-year and then they will bloom shorter. So my goal was to make that happen. So I cut them back, I don't know, sometime late spring when they were starting to get some growth on them. And then I just cut them all back. And then you'll see that where I made a cut here, it put off just like most plants. They bush out, and now it has 3 smaller or shorter bloom stalks rather than one tall one. And so almost all of them I did that too. I didn't do all of them because I wanted some variety of height here, but like this one, it's branched out up here, although I don't know if I don't even see where I cut this one back. But anyways, but yeah, so they are getting taller. They're probably about 3.5 feet now at the tallest, and this will turn into a sea of yellow blooms in the fall. So I'm really excited to see how that looks with them being shorter this year. Everything else in here is native. I have some dwarf Fakahatchee, some piney woods drop seed grass. I have, this is the native coral honeysuckle, the native corky stem passion vine. So I grew that kind of as a ground cover, and it's just growing, sprawling around. There's some chocolate flower or Florida green eyes growing in here. This is mist flower. Let's see. And then there's, some purple coneflower, which this has gone to seed, but in true ecosystem value that I try to uphold, I'm leaving the seed heads for the birds, and I'll take some of them and I'll sow the seeds, around, just so the plant spreads out. I probably could cut this back, but I'm gonna leave that there. And then over here is the biggest change I've made. So I've struggled a lot with the grass in this section. I took out the grass, and I planted clover. So the clover took somewhat, but not really. And then it got really dry, and then it died back, and then, fall came and then dropped a bunch of leaves, and so then this area got smothered by the leaves, and it was just not a good look. So I decided, why not just emulate this flower bed and that flower bed over there and do the same thing on this side. And we don't use this as a pathway to get to anything. We go around the side, so it doesn't need to be completely accessible, but I do have the path there that we can use. So I turned this into flower bed, and then I kept struggling with what to do over here because this tree, and then I had like a square flower bed there, and I'm like, well, how do I join it? So I just basically made like a loop around here, And the flower bed itself loops that way, but I'm planting a strip, so it's basically going to be one big horseshoe shape here. So I'm filling it in as I come across plants, and like I have some more grass here, and then I have some small grasses there that this will fill in the edges, so it'll be like a full look around here. This is where I put the dwarf Simpson stopper from out back, so that'll, you know, create some weight right there. And then up here I had okra growing. Here's another one. So this is okra, and then so then there's some more goldenrod. This is pineland heliotrope. I planted 3 of them. There's one over there and then one here, and then there's green or blue-eyed grass popping up all over this area. So in the spring it'll be lots of blue little flowers as a ground cover. And then speaking of ground cover, I have originally was going to do just the clover, but when that didn't work out, I planted blue-eyed grass and frog fruit in here. Well, the frog fruit as a native ground cover is pretty, but it was taking a long time to establish. So this is frog fruit, and it grows on these runners here, as you can see, and it will take over. You see how it's taking over like this little spots, but there wasn't enough to control the weeds. So what I did is I went out and bought 12 plants of frog fruit and sunshine mimosa, which are both native ground covers. And then I have also native pony's foot growing up in here as well. So you'll notice that. So this is the sunshine mimosa. And then here is one of the frog fruit. But what's happened is I'm having bunnies come and eat the brand new plants in my yard. So I sprinkled red pepper around it and made a mint, like a mint spray to spray around. It won't work because of the rain and the sprinklers and stuff forever, but so those will fill in, God willing. But I needed to do something to make the ground area that was grass or green smaller. So that's what I did. It doesn't look great right now because it has to fill in, but eventually it should be all green with native ground covers that are actually serving the ecosystem, and they're not grass, and I won't have to fertilize them. And once they're established, the pollinators will like them, and yeah, it'll just look pretty. I think I finally figured out how to make this section work. So it's just a work in progress. You kind of have to just go with the flow. There's more that St. John's wort. I think I'll get some more and like dot that around, maybe put it along this edge too, just to fill in. Like this will be one big flower bed. So the other thing, so this actually popped up, and a lot of people probably look at this and think, well, this is sandspurs. Well, they're not. So this is a type of native sedge. It's like a grass, and it is a Florida native. And so whenever this pops up, these are not pokey. This is just their flower stalk. So I think they look pretty, but they're not a weed. It's actually just a native plant. I'm going to leave them. So if that pops up here, so be it. And then, like I said, all of this, anything that looks like this, is blue-eyed grass, and it will spread and, be a pretty grass alternative as well. So that's what I'm doing in here. I have native sedge, blue-eyed grass, sunshine mimosa, frog fruit, pony's foot. Yeah, and that's the ground cover in this area. So eventually I think it will look very nice, but as with anything with gardening, you have to start somewhere. There's 2 small beauty berries over here. And then I have an Everglades tomato that popped up. I'm gonna let that grow. There's some porterweed growing. So when you add native plants, you'll always have native plants because they self-seed, self-sow, and generally can take over a little area as you let it. So over here we have the other half of my hellscape, and what they mean by hellscape is that grass area in between the sidewalk and the road. So I have chose to do something beneficial in my space for that rather than just grass, which is what normally people plant it, just grass. But over here and over there I've planted native plants. And they're all filling in, doing great this time of year. It's always about the same. It's just what's blooming differs at different times of year. I have the Fakahatchee grass, and then porterweed, goldenrod. This is my beautyberry, and then I have coneflowers blooming in here. So I really love those. And then, like I said, I did the same thing with some of the goldenrods in this area. I cut them back mid-year, but this early blooming goldenrod is actually just shorter, and I find, than the pine barren. The pine barren gets super tall. So everything is filled in really nice and pretty in this section, and I'm really happy with it. This is what the goldenrod looks like when it's gone to seed. Just turns fluffy. And so while I'm thinking of it, I'll just come over here and sprinkle it on the ground. This side of the border is not as filled in as this side. This side is more of a work in progress. I started the other side first. But I do have more pine barren goldenrod. This is another dwarf Fakahatchee grass. I have lots of little coneflowers growing. I think that's a baby beautyberry. Let's see. There's some perennial mums that I plan on pulling out of here, but I just haven't yet until some of the other stuff is filled in more. This is a orange coneflower, native. This is a roselle, so that's going to provide me with forage and, medicinal purposes. Basically, this whole border can be used medicinally. And then I do have some yarrow plants scattered in there. So this will be blooming pretty with pink and yellow and orange. And then the roselle will be really pretty too in there. And yeah, and then there's some small grasses. Like this is a very small grass, but it is a muley grass that actually came from seed from another one that I had. So I'm excited to see this grow, but like I said, it's a work in progress, as with everything in gardening. Everything over here is doing okay. I have my flatwood plum. This is what they look like without all the leaves falling off. So this is in its first year after the winter. I'm hoping to see blooms on it, but it is quite small. And then this area is looking pretty nice with the sorghum blooming. So you got greens in here. I still have some onions around the border. I have some more roselle that I popped in here. I just cut these back. And then this half doesn't have very many zinnias, and I seeded more and I don't see any. I see a couple sunflowers, so I probably just have to seed more zinnias or do some from seed in the backyard and transplant them. But I love the look of the greens. It's kind of like half and half. All the greens are over here and all the zinnias are over there, which is a little weird. And then I do have okra around here. These okra plants are not the best, but it is what it is. But I have something exciting. So this is a carrot, and I left some carrots to go to seed, and to bloom, and that is what's happening. So I have a couple that are starting to do that. They're getting a bloom stalk, but this is what it looks like when your carrot blooms, just like this. So you'll see there's some little white flowers starting in there, and that is what that is. And then the zinnias are looking really pretty right now. Some of these are really tall. I really like them. I like these colors. This color is really pretty. And then I do have weeds, of course, like every year. But over here, I have some grass. Geez, I don't know what I'm saying. Oh, a peanut. Oh. All right, so my phone overheated once again because I was trying to do this midday. I guess I should learn to not do that. But what I was showing, I think this is where I left off, is I still have some peanut plants in here that didn't get completely eaten by the rabbits, and they are growing peanuts. So at the end of the season, you'll see that they shoot off. Of course, there's grass growing in here. They shoot down these little pegs, and they will grow a peanut underground from those little pegs. So at the end of the season, when it's time, I will come in and I will harvest the peanuts, and I won't have enough because like I said, a lot of them did get eaten by the squirrels. I'll just have enough for saving for next year to grow, because they do make a pretty cool ground cover. Like here's some right here. Look, there's like a baby peanut starting to grow. Just stick that back in the ground. Oh, but look, you see? A peanut. Homegrown peanut. But yeah, otherwise this border, well, not border, but this flower bed is looking pretty cool. Look at this bumblebee. It was just hanging upside down. What you doing? So like I said, got the sorghum and zinnias in here. Eventually I'll do a reset of plantings in this for the fall, but I'm gonna let the zinnias go until they're not pretty anymore. Over here, everything is the same, just getting a little bigger. This oak leaf hydrangea is about 5 feet tall now. This one is exponentially taller than the ones in the backyard, I think because of the amount of water it gets from the irrigation. These Cooley's water willow are really spreading out. They're almost touching each other. And they have these really cool flowers all over them now. They're open during the day. They're closed this time of day. But yeah, so I'm hoping this perennial comes back next year. It should. It'll die back in the winter, but right now I'm really enjoying it, as a little low shrub, and it'll spread out like a ground cover. I have some okra in here when I have to harvest there. Everything in here is basically the same. I'm documenting this for my own self to look at. I cut all of the foliage off of, look, that one that is dead there, off of this beautyberry because it was covered completely in spider mites, and I'm not about to have spider mites in my garden from leaving a beautyberry. So I went ahead and defoliated that whole thing, and I am letting it just flush back out, and so far there's no spider mites left. There's another okra plant. I'm really hoping, because these okra plants are so healthy, I'm really hoping once it starts raining again, we're in another drought spell, and this heat kind of goes down, that I will get some more production from these plants. This is a type of fleabane. It has the tiniest, look at that, the tiniest little flowers, and I'm just gonna let it. I think it's cute and it serves the pollinators. It's probably a noxious weed, but it's cute. I'm leaving it. Whatever. Clearly this okra didn't make it. Not sure what happened there, but that's gone. I still have some leeks growing. I was trying to let the leeks go to seed, and hopefully they will. I still have, some wildflowers, some tick seed, some black-eyed Susans, and here's my other cranberry hibiscus. This is what I wanted to show from the backyard. I have the, hold on just a second. From the backyard, I have the, this is a loofah vine, and there's also a gourd vine growing through here. So this here is the loofah, and the leaves are super huge on this side. And then I also have the gourd growing up in here. So this is growing through my coral honeysuckle and my jasmine. You'll see there's a loofah there. Let's see if we can find one over here. I don't see any yet, but this gets so heavily pollinated with all the bumblebees. So it's really cool to see. And then there's another loofah up here that's an odd shape, but I'll get loofahs from this plant for the rest of the year. Until a hard freeze comes, they will continue to grow. And I just think it looks kind of interesting. I don't like anything that is quite like everyone else's, so I'm quite enjoying this plant, or these vines growing up here. So that is, I think, everything in the front yard. So back here, there's not a lot to look at, but I wanted on record what is back here so I can look back at it. This is a green bell pepper plant. It's doing pretty well. It's been getting really hot, so it's starting to suffer a little bit, but it is what it is. There's some self-seeded basil down in this pot, so I'm letting that go to seed. And then I have some sorghum in the pot as well. And then I do have some lemon cucumbers sowed in here. So these cucumbers are little like golf ball size snacking cucumbers. So I'm pretty excited about growing those. And then I think I planted also some different type of alyssum in here. And I hope I didn't just pull it out because I just pulled some weeds out. But yeah, so, and then I have my rice growing. I think the rice is going to make it to maturity this time. I grew it last, let's see, like a few months ago when it was still very much in a drought here in Florida, and it just did not take at all. So that was a mistake, and I just didn't keep up with the watering. In this, let's see here. In this, oh look at that baby frog. Anyways, in this green stalk, I've sown, this is cardinal basil, and it's a new variety for me, but I'm doing some more basil for the year. The whole top is cardinal basil. Then I have some regular downy mildew resistant basil in the second one. I need to water. There's some germinating there. And then the third and fourth are calendula. So I'm just, for record, showing like how big the seedlings are for the calendula. And I planted enough in there that I can, pot them in different holes if any didn't germinate. So that's that. This monster of a vine still has not flowered, and I'm pretty disappointed in that because I wanted those pink fuchsia flowers. Oops. This is more rice, and there's more rice over there. This is some seeds that for some reason keep germinating and then dying. let's see. And then, yeah, everything over here is the same. This is just still some random herbs. Oh, there's aphids galore in that thing. Just random herbs. My daughter just came out here and picked some of these green onions for dinner. And then over here I have some zinnias and these pots. So these pots, I'm gonna have to thin them out, but I'll probably wait till the seedlings are a little bigger and then just transplant them into different areas of the garden when the root systems are a little bigger. And then this, I'll be redoing the green stalk whenever it gets cooler. I don't know what I'm doing yet. But anyways, that is the extent of what's happening on the back porch right now. And it's hot again, so I am going to go inside. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.